Meteorologist Matthew East here with you. This is the December 30th edition of the Carolina Weather Video here. This next to last day of 2009. Cold start to the day. We had lows in the 20s in many spots across the region. And plenty of cold air coming. That's going to be our big forecast feature, it appears, here for at least the next couple of weeks. Let me show you temperatures this morning. And there's a lot of cold air across the lower 48. Now, if you look carefully here, right at the upper part of your screen here, even though there's a lot of cold air and some single digits across much of the northern tier states, it's brutally cold up here a few hundred miles north of the Canadian border here. As you get up into parts of Canada, you don't have to go too terribly far to see teens and 20s below zero. And that Arctic air is going to be plunging into the central and eastern part of the country here as we go throughout the course of the next 24 to 48 hours. Now, in terms of precip this morning, some snow continues to move through parts of the plain states and into the Midwest. That's mainly some light to moderate snow through parts of Missouri and Iowa, Illinois, even some snowflakes in the air down into Kentucky, and maybe a few of the sleet pellets or snowflakes making it to the ground in northern Tennessee, although the air is very dry there. And then you get into some rain through eastern Texas into Louisiana, southern Arkansas, and that precip will be heading in our general direction. Now, this is the 6C run of the GFS, and this is valid 1 o'clock this afternoon. Area of high pressure over northeastern North Carolina, southeastern Virginia, sliding out to sea. At the same time, you have precipitation increasing through Louisiana and into Mississippi, and that's going to be spreading northeastward. And let me go ahead 12 hours in the future. This is 1 a.m. Thursday, 1 a.m. tomorrow, so as we go through this evening and tonight, GFS actually a little bit more bullish now with the precip moving in this evening into much of the region, and it's also a little heavier with the precip as well. We have a cold, dry air mass in place, and so I think as the precipitation moves in, you'll probably see areas roughly, say, in this corridor, see a period of sleet or freezing rain as the precipitation initially moves in. We'll say roughly I-85 points north and west. Could be a period of sleet and freezing rain when that precipitation initially settles in. But I still don't think it's a big deal. We'll watch it closely, of course, but there's really nothing to lock the cold air in except for evaporation, and that'll drop temperatures in many spots at or below freezing. But the precipitation amounts don't look terribly heavy at the moment. And I believe as we go through time, we'll see a lot of spots actually try to bump up a little bit above freezing. But mainly the limitation here is just not a lot of precip as this event unfolds tonight into very early tomorrow. So again, period of freezing rain or sleet for the Piedmont zones. I just don't think this is a major type of icing event. We'll watch how things unfold tonight. But at the moment, I don't think it's a big deal. All right, let's go out to New Year's Eve tomorrow. And really now it looks like we're going to be able to get most of New Year's Eve in dry fashion. Could be some lingering drizzle at times, but it looks like now mainly a dry day for tomorrow. And as we get then into tomorrow night, into the first day of 2010 there on Friday, there is another piece of upper-level energy that crashes in, and the Canadian tries to print out some precip. The Canadian model does. This is the GFS, of course, and so I'm still going to mention the chance for maybe a few wet snowflakes Thursday night into Friday morning, but again, that just doesn't look like a big deal. It looks like the best dynamics are going to be a little bit off to our east, so I don't think at the moment at least any significant precip Thursday night into Friday morning. And there comes the cold air. Again, this is 1 o'clock. I'm sorry, this is 7 o'clock Friday morning. And here comes the true Arctic air, actually centered at that point right up in this area, and that is coming our way. So again, that is 7 a.m. on Friday morning. Let's go out to 1 p.m. Saturday, and that is the Arctic air settling in. And actually notice that, interesting to note, the Arctic high pressure is still in Canada, but you see this very significant cold air just bleeding into much of the central and eastern part of the country. So Saturday, we're looking probably at 30s for highs. I think the model guidance is doing a terrible job in terms of the MOS data. If you follow that, the MOS data just really not catching on to the cold. I don't believe it's going to bust probably pretty significantly with the numbers. It's still printing out some 40s for highs over the weekend and into the next week, and I just don't see that happening at all with the degree of cold air that's coming. So I'm going to go 30s for highs Saturday and Sunday across the Piedmont zones of North Carolina. And this is Sunday, 1 p.m. This is Monday at 1 p.m. And as we go through Sunday, Monday, and into next week, we'll probably be seeing some upper teens to lower 20s for lows and 30s for highs. Now, I mentioned in yesterday's video how there's going to be another little piece of energy ripple through. And on some modeling, there was some indications of a Gulf low developing that then moved off the Carolina coast, most notably the European model yesterday. But I showed you why most of the other modeling suppressed that off to our south, and now even the European is doing the same. Let's go back to yesterday's 0Z run of the European. And again, I talked about how the placement of the 500 millibar low with the vortex was key with any potential storm system for Monday. Again, notice yesterday's run of the European model, valid 12Z Monday morning. You had that vortex centered up here over the Great Lakes region. Well, here is the latest run of the European. And while there's a little piece of 500 millibar energy around the Great Lakes, the main vortex is centered off the New England coast. And the GFS is in pretty good agreement with that idea. So with that being the case, you're simply going to see everything suppressed off to the south. When you have the flow at 500 millibars, generally out of the northwest, you're just not going to be able to pop any major storm systems in this area. So everything sort of gets shunted off to the south of the Carolinas. Now, again, this is still model data. I'm not saying it's completely right yet, but the model's pretty unanimous in keeping everything shunted off to our south early next week. And they're also pretty unanimous in some very cold air. And that cold air looks to hold through much of next week. I think most of next week we're looking at 30s for highs and upper teens to lower 20s for lows. Now, this is the 8 to 10 day average of the upper air pattern, European on the left, GFS on the right. And really pretty good agreement here overall. The exact placement of some features is a little bit off, but the general idea is the same. On the European here, you're looking at nice ridging, nice P&A ridge in western North America, strongly a negative NAO blocking all across Canada and the European. The GFS generally the same, although again the exact placement of features is a little bit off. And you look at Eastern Asia, troughing there, and again that's oftentimes a teleconnection of a week or so down the road what happens in the eastern United States. So I still see really no strong indications of the cold air pattern breaking through mid-January. So let's go out to the GFS. This is Thursday of next week, the 7th. Very cold air mass still in place. I actually got my charts out of order there. This is Tuesday of next week. It's very cold then, and by Thursday it is still very cold as well. So a lot of cold air coming. And while there'll be some relaxation in there at some point, generally a cold pattern looks to persist through at least mid-January. Now in terms of storm systems, again, everything's really trying to be suppressed off to our south. We are probably going to see some storm systems continue to scoot by off to our south. And really this might be the type of pattern where to get some snow chances, it might take a clipper. And what you want to look for with these clippers is if you can see one of those clipper systems sort of round out its southernmost point somewhere in Mississippi, Alabama, and then be heading into the east or northeast direction as it cruises through here, that'd be a chance to get some precipitation. But generally, most everything looks to be suppressed in terms of major southern stream systems off to our south. So it might take one of those clippers to try to wring out some precip, and it's tough to do that. A lot of times the mountains wring out most of that moisture. So no real significant snow chances to hang our hats on, but boy, it's tough to believe with all this cold air around for the next couple of weeks that we wouldn't see some type of precipitation making system move through, but really nothing to hang our hats on, at least to me, that I'm seeing right now. But we'll, of course, keep watching it. Now, of course, tonight we'll watch that. Some wintry precip with that precipitation moving in, some sleet or freezing rain, but I'm talking about down the road past tonight. All right, that's it for today's edition of the Carolina Weather Video. Thank you for watching. Everyone have a wonderful Wednesday, and God bless.